edition of the Daggers and Lyds podcast. A very warm welcome to you wherever you are listening to us or perhaps watching us on YouTube. I'm Charles Dagnall, Lydia Greenway. It is now, we are determined, are we not, on the Daggers and Lyds podcast to be far more regular. We said this last time. It's almost like we're adding fibre to the podcast and we're determined to be more regular. And so it has turned out, as we have done our last one just, 3 or 4 days ago, and we're ready to go for another. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks, Daggers. Yeah, we're like London buses at the moment, aren't we? You miss
I'd like to think a little bit more hygienic than London buses.
Yes.
I think so.
They're not the most hygienic, are they? London buses or any
I'll
bus.
I'll tell you what about London buses. So when my partner Asha, who used to live in Canary Wharf, now I didn't like Canary Wharf. It's too busy for me. And when we used to turn the light off to go to sleep, nothing changed. It was still really, really bright and loud and anything. Anyway, the buses had the most powerful air conditioning in the history of mankind. And I remember it was turned on like mid-January. So you would have to get on. If you didn't get on with like 3 layers and the thickest duvet coat in the world, you would just have icicles dripping from, all the people. That's why no one talks. And maybe it's to cut down on crime or something like that, to make everyone so unbelievably cold that you just literally get off the bus and walk like a wooden stick insect. Anyway, be that as it may. What have you been up to over the last couple of days?
I have actually. I had a really good day on Sunday after Vitality Blast Finals Day. I went down to Lords, and it was the final of the Village Cup, the National Village Cup, which is such a good competition. So any village cricket club around the country can enter. I think there was over 350 teams who entered, and then on Sunday it was the final, and it was such a good day. Went down and watched that, and then we had a dinner afterwards.
Were you there in any official capacity? Were you like trophy giver or something?
Well, I was. So I'm one of the ambassadors for it. So it's the Veneus Village Cup, which is the sponsor. So that's who I'm doing a bit of work for. But I have to say, you know what it's like? There's some things that you go to and it's like, oh gosh, this could drag out a bit. But actually, it was brilliant. I loved it. You would have loved it, Daggers, as well. Foxton Granter, shout out to them. They were the winners of it. I had a good time. And then I've been chilling, actually, the last couple of days. Treated myself to an iPad Pro.
Yes, you've got some new tech.
I have got some tech, which I tell you what, Daggers, you know me, I'm not big on technology, but it's brilliant because I've seen you've got one and you're away in there in the commentary box tapping away. So
tapping away or writing away with my stylus on there. So you've kind of, because you did have a sort of iPad-ish type of thing. What's it called? The one that
Remarkable. Yeah, I've still got that. I'm still going to use that, but I'm just going to double up a bit.
You fear change? Do you fear technology change?
I'm a human being and I hate change.
Sensational.
What about you? You've had your lashes checked?
Went to the dentist and basically walked in and said, if there's nothing wrong, don't do anything. So that was it. I don't like the dentist. I never have. But apparently I grind my teeth. Who knew? So they're going to fit me for some kind of gum shield or something like that. I don't know what they're going to do. So that was okay. I'm back in the gym. Which is very proud of me. Cross-trainering and just walking at the moment. Can't do any weights yet because I've got my golf club championship on Saturday and I don't want to be stiff. So I'm going to do that first and then get on the weights and pump some iron. So I'm looking forward to having a winter of getting in shape. Not that I'm massively out of shape, but getting a little bit more toned.
Yeah, restart. Well, you got into it in South Africa, didn't you, when we were out there?
As well. That was your fault. You got me into the gym. Come on, Daggers. What was it? I remember we were driving back to the hotel in South Africa in Potchefstroom, and you said, I'm going to the gym. I went, oh, very, very good.
Well done.
Very good. I'm pleased for you. And you actually turned around and said, "Right, you're coming with us." And I was like, "No, I don't think I will. That doesn't sound like me." And then you insisted, and I should have listened to you. Well, I did listen to you. You dragged me there, and I really enjoyed it.
You
And from
did.
there on, in last winter, I loved it. So I'm back there now, and getting fit and firing on the old cross trainer, and I shall be like Arnold Schwarzenegger's
Yes.
slightly overweight cousin.
Watch out,
Yeah,
Arnie. Absolutely.
yeah. I'm ready to lift some weight. So anyway, yeah. Other than that, absolutely nothing going on whatsoever. Let's talk some cricket then, because where we left it last time, we spoke to Tammy Beaumont, and this was after the second one-day international between Ireland and England in Belfast. Since then, Lydia, since our podcast, Ireland have had the best of the rest of the results. Third one-day international. They overcame England in a rain-shortened game on DRS, not DRS, Charles, DLS. Ireland winning by 3 wickets. England 153 all out. Ireland 155 for 7. And then in the T20s, England had their way with Ireland in the first one down in Dublin. 176 all out. Bryony Smith with 58 from 30. Maddie Villiers with 35 from 15. And Ireland 109 all out. But there was a little warning shot fired across the bows in that first T20 international. Orla Prendergast made 52 from 34. Even though England won by 76 runs, the following day, the second T20 international, England 169 for 8, Ireland 170 for 5, Orla Prendergast 80 from 51 deliveries. Ireland win by 5 wickets. I mean, of course, this is a weakened England side, but it's still a pretty strong looking side. What a week for Ireland cricket, Lids.
Yeah, I have to admit, we obviously we try and be impartial, but England is the team that we pay interest to and obviously follow the most. But I think when you see results like that, you can't help but smile because Ireland, they don't have as much resource as all the other countries, and they in a way have to work twice as hard. And when you look at the England team that's been put out, Tammy Beaumont is there. The other players have been playing in our domestic competition. They've been playing in 100 cricket, which is arguably as close to international cricket that you would get. And so that win by Ireland, I have to say, that it's a proper win, isn't it? Chasing down 169. And when you look at the mix of players that Ireland have got, they've obviously got Orla Prendergast, who has been a real sort of breakthrough player for Ireland in the last couple of years. Someone like Freya Sargent, who we saw at the under-19
that's right,
Women's World Cup, a young spin bowler who would have learnt so much from the series. Someone like Arlene Kelly, who is a Kiwi she's moved over from New Zealand to come and play for Ireland because she's got roots in Ireland, but she's come in and bowled brilliantly, 2 for 22 of her 4 overs. So suddenly Ireland are just looking as if they've got some good depth, which is obviously what you want. And then you have the experience of someone like Gabby Lewis.
Absolutely. And now you're starting to see the core of a team starting to build it. Orla Prendergast's only 22 years old.
Yes.
Right. And she's gone out and got experience over playing for the Western Storm, I think it was, last year. She's been out into the CPL playing for the Trinbago Knight Riders last year as well. I think, did she come over this year as well for the Blaze, was it?
Yes, yeah, she was.
Yeah. So she's getting away. One of the obvious aspects of Ireland being a full member nation is that they are treated as overseas players. They can't come in and play domestic. And I'm on the side of that not being a great move for Irish cricket. In the men's, they were strong because all of them were able to play county cricket. And so they had a core of players that were playing regular cricket all the time and high-class cricket, so that when they did go to the internationals, they can pull off some upsets. And a similar thing can happen, I think, in the women's domestic game in Ireland as well, how strong that is. locally, I don't know. But if they are going to be playing franchise competitions, they've got to come in as an overseas player. So that's
Mm.
just one aspect to look at it. Just going through, because Hypercost, who you must follow on Twitter, and
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to freely admit I am stealing things from him. He has a great emergency blog with lots of facts and figures and numbers on there. So I'm taking them from him. So thank you, John Leather, for doing this, not for us, but for everybody.
Mm.
Follow him at, I think it's at underscore Hypercost, HYPOCAUST. Do follow him, because anything that's cracking off in the women's international game or domestic game, he
Mm.
will have it. It's all over his Twitter feed and his Instagram feed. So I've taken this from him. Ireland, this is going back to the third one day international that was done by apparently DRS, not DLS. Ireland completed their second win in all formats against England. Only previous victory had been an ODI in Reading during the 2001 European Championships. So that was one little nugget. Amy Maguire, someone else we watched in the under
Yes.
19 World Cup, left arm spinner, took 5-4-19 in that one day international. First Irish woman to take 5-wicket haul in ODIs against England. England slumped from 99 for 2 to 153 all out. So a little bit of consternation in that one day international. In that sense, after Gabby Lewis's excellent knock, Ireland did lose 5 for 14 in the space of 22 balls at the end of the game. Hence why it was such thrilling scenes and brilliant video that was taken that we got to
Mm.
see on social media. Just going back to some of the T20s lids, 4 debutants in that first T20 international. Georgia Adams, Karis Pavley, Paige Schofield, and Seren Smale. And a lovely moment, I think, for Georgia Adams. If
Yes.
all of those youngsters there, Karis Pavley, Paige Schofield, and Seren Smale, or Karis and Seren especially, coming through the under-19s. But Georgia Adams, almost 31 years old,
Mm.
making her debut. Some would argue a little late, given her record of recent years, especially in the 100 and in 20 over competitions. But her cap meant that she and Father Chris became the first father-daughter duo to represent England. And I love stories like that. I'm very,
Yes.
very pleased for Georgia that she got
Yeah.
her first T20 international cap.
Yeah, obviously, it's great when you see that, isn't it? She's someone who has been around for a long, long time, and arguably, if the professional domestic setup didn't come in, she probably wouldn't be playing cricket
Yeah.
anymore, or she might just playing locally somewhere. And that's the same for a lot of players, as we know. So, yeah, I mean, a great moment for her. And she's obviously, I think her game's developed, hasn't it? She used to be that top order opening batter
Yeah.
who was really strong against pace. She struggled against spin. She then turned herself into a middle order batter who really developed her game against spin, opened up the whole ground, and brought in the off spin into her game as well, which just gave her that other dimension that yes, yes, but effective, gets wickets as well, doesn't it? And
That
then of
round arm,
course,
that low slingy arm, and she's very, very accurate. And
yeah,
she's one of those bowlers, Liz, don't you think, that she comes on when, and Georgia, if you're listening, please take this in the way it's intended. She's not what you would consider one of the main bowlers. She should be,
no,
but you don't think of her that way. So as soon as she comes on, you think, well, this is gentle,
mhm,
innocuous spin. I'm going to get after that, and she's way more canny an
mm,
operator. And given that low arm trajectory and her accuracy as well, so many people I would, I
yeah,
think, oh,
yeah.
here we go. I'm going to lose these balls out of the ground, and suddenly you're walking back to the pavilion.
Yeah, I know. And this is not a direct comparison before you say anything, but Enid Bakewell, I remember playing against her as a young cricketer, and I was batting against
When
her.
she was young, or when you were young.
well, we were both a bit younger, obviously. But she would just lob these balls up there. And you know what it's like, a youngster, you're thinking, blimey, I'm going to get after this one. Before you know it, you've come down, the whole trumpet's, gone off and everything, and you've missed it. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I'm not comparing those two, but just I know what it's like when you think you're going to be able to get after someone and you can't. So yeah, good stuff all round, and nice to see Ireland get. I know it was a record chase as well by Ireland, I think, in a T20 international.
Well, the second one was
Yeah.
and just on that, it was their first ever T20 win against England in that second T20 international. It was the day after the first Saturday Sunday games in Dublin. Ola Prendergast a third half century across the 5 games of the multi-format tour. That's some serious going, considering the opposition that she's. This is still an attack with Kate Cross, with Lauren Filer. This is Maddie Villiers, etc., etc. This is a seriously good England attack. Her new career best in T20 is the highest score by any Irish woman in a T20 international run trace. Keep an eye on Ola Prendergast. She is going places. So that's pretty much that bit wrapped up. England's full 15 or 16 are over in Dubai at this. No, they're not. Are they in Dubai?
They're in Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi. They're in Abu Dhabi for a training camp ahead of the World T20, which starts in October. Hopefully, before too long, we're going to get a couple of interviews from the England camp and see how they're getting on. And we've got those in the pipeline. Fingers crossed that will happen sooner rather than later. So we are going to do a little preview to the World T20 because it is just around the corner. We're 17th now. First game is in around about 2 and a bit weeks. Something like that. 2 and a bit weeks.
October. Yeah.
So we better crack on with some previewing. And we're going to preview Group A first off. We'll do Group B in another podcast. But I thought what would be nice is to preview Group A, playing a little bit of a game. Doing so, and we're going to play a game of over or under, and both me and Lyds are going to have a go at this, and let's see if we agree or disagree with some of these questions that I'm going to fire out there. So basically, I'm going to fire out a question. Lyds will respond as to whether she thinks she will go over or under the number that I have put out, and then I will give my 2 pence as well. So, Group A, there is Australia, India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and New Zealand. They are the 5 combatants in Group A. I think it's the group of death. I think it's the stronger of the 2 groups. And, only 2 places up for grabs in the semi-finals. It will be keenly contested. So we'll kick off with question number 1, Lydia Greenway. Over or under? Let's start with this one. Sri Lanka. 1.5 wins for Sri Lanka. Now, people might be asking, well, why 1.5? So basically, Lyds thinks they're either going to win 1, none, or anything over 1.5. Your response to that?
Okay, so my response to that, and I'm going to go positive here for Sri Lanka, is that I think they can get 2 wins. So I'm going to go over. And do you want me to explain my answer?
Please do.
So I'm thinking that they can beat Pakistan. They can definitely beat Pakistan. Remember, they've just recently won recently-ish won the Asia Cup.
Yeah.
They beat India in the final. And the other thing to mention, and we've already mentioned it on the podcast before, their middle order is starting to click. It's not just the Chamari Atapatu show. So that's why I think they're going to get a win against Pakistan. And then my positive mindset is saying that New Zealand could be a team that they could turn over as well. And that's because I see a few fragilities in the New Zealand middle order, which we saw this summer. And against the Sri Lankan spinners, that's where I think they could get their two wins. So I'm going over, Daggers. What about you?
Here is the problem with this podcast, is that we agree on an alarming amount of things. and maybe I should just, for the sake of it, just cause a little bit of ructions between and just disagree with everything you say. Yeah. I am totally with you on this.
Okay.
I'm going over, and New Zealand was the was the one I think that they will be targeting. Do I think they'll overcome India? Do I think they'll overcome Australia? No, I don't think they will. I think they'll beat Pakistan. And what you do need, and that middle order, Harshita Rama has just won the ICC Player of the Month for last month. I think it was for last month.
Yeah.
And so they're going to be bombarded with spin, New Zealand, and I don't know how well they play. I don't think they played England particularly well, especially in the T20s where they lost 5-0. I think they have, real struggles with power hitting. The only one really you're looking at is Divine. Neely Kerr, perhaps, but I think she gets, a little bit stuck in the mud against some of the spin. And if they can field well, if Sri Lanka can field well, I can foresee a win over the New Zealand in that sense. I think Chamari's got to have. I still think she's got to score the weight of runs, but I think her time is now. I really do. I don't think Sri Lanka are going to qualify. I don't think they're going to get. But I think her in the world of franchise cricket now, her stock will go even higher. I fancy, and if she manages to win 2 games on her own. Which is well within her grasp. I think it's possible. I am going to go over as well, and I'm predicting perhaps a struggle for New Zealand in this T20 World Cup, especially in Dubai and Sharjah, where the pitches aren't going to be supersonically quick. I think I think they're going to suit the subcontinental teams or teams with excellent spinners a lot more. So yes, I see that. So we're both going over on question 1, over 1.5 wins for Sri Lanka. Okay, next one. I've just lost my list. Here we go. It's on my phone. I texted it to you.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now as well.
Over under. I like this question. Over under 4.5 wickets and 100 runs. So it's over under 4.5 wickets and 100 runs each for Elise Perry and Deepti Sharma in the group.
I think the key word here is "and." I think one of them might do it, but I'm gonna go under because the position that Deepti Sharma bats for India. I think when we saw her excel with the bat this summer, it was in the 100, and quite quickly I think she was in a position where she had to make an impact, but also she had time to bat. And I think if you look at the batting order of India, I just feel that sort of top 3, 4, 5, who knows where she go, maybe 5 or 6. I think they're the ones who might do the bulk of the run scoring. And that could be said, the similar situation for Alyssa Healy as well. Obviously, there's Elise Perry. There's Alyssa Healy. There's Beth Mooney, Phoebe Litchfield. They might go in her to maybe that left-hand, right-hand combination if Mooney gets out first. Ash Gardner. So I'm going to go under, Daggers.
I am going to disagree with you. I am. Yes. I'm going to go over. And the reason I'm going over is I don't see the wickets thing to be a problem. I think I realise Australia have got a wealth of all-rounders, a wealth of spinners, but I just think in those conditions, Perry's, because she's taken a sort of yard out of her pace since her prime, if you like, I think she could be pretty awkward on those surfaces. I think she'll get runs on anything, personally. So I'm not worried about the runs on her side. I'm more worried about the wickets on her side, but I'm going to back her on that one because you never know, she might nip in with a 3 for her against Pakistan. There's 4 games, so I'm that would be my sticking point on that. My sticking point for Deepti is the run scoring, but I think that she should get up that order for India. She is a left-hand option, which again may come into play if there is one game where they've got slightly shorter boundaries, one side perhaps. I'm not quite sure, but I can foresee a half century somewhere, and India top order stuffing up royally because it's well within their remit to do so, and Deepti digging them out of a hole. So I'm going to go over on that one.
Fair enough.
For question 2. Let's move on. Question 3. Over under, Lydia Greenway. that Grace Harris and Shafali Verma will hit more sixes than the rest of the batters in the entire group put together.
This is a good one, Daggers.
You see, I think about this. I
You
think
have
about
thought
these
about
questions.
this. Yeah. There I was just thinking you were pottering around doing your
No,
loopings
no,
and going to the dentist.
no. I put these things. I
Now,
spend some time. Yeah, we don't just throw this together, dear listener or viewer.
so who are the other contenders in the group that could potentially hit a few boundaries? I would
Sixes
say,
specifically.
sorry, sixes. So there's Ash Gardner, who
Yeah.
is up there. There is Harmanpreet Kaur, if she
Yes.
gets going eventually. Similar category in there is Elise Perry. Then you have Sophie Devine. Susie Bates, maybe not so much these days.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing against her. Just I think she's more of a 4 striker rather than a 6 striker. Chamari Atapatu, if she gets going for Sri Lanka. So, are those key players, key 6 hitting players, going to collectively beat Shafali Verma?
Here's the thing: are you taking Shafali or Grace? You've delayed quite royally here. I think you have delayed your answer quite royally. Are you taking Shafali and Grace Harris, or are you taking the field?
I'm taking everyone else. My concern is Grace Harris. Don't know how much time she's going to have out in the middle.
I think they might open with her.
Okay.
I think they may be tempted to open with her because she opened in some of the games against Bangladesh.
Yes.
And I just wonder if it's, they're so strong. What Annabelle Sutherland, I think, was coming in at 7 or 8 or something.
Yeah.
They are so deep and so strong. I just wonder if it's not worth Grace Harris going to the top of the order. Let's go against the grain as well. I'm taking Shafali and I'm taking Grace Harris against the field. Bold. I am being bold, Lydia Greenway.
Go on, Daggers.
Yes.
I'm not being bold.
Well, it's well within your rights. You can not be bold. I'm going to be bold and go with Grace Harris and Shafali Verma. That they are going to hit more sixes than the rest of the field in that particular group. Okay, sticking with Grace Harris.
Yes.
Over under 5 mentions that Grace Harris likes burgers by commentators.
Well, I am going to go over because
you're there, aren't you?
I'm going to mention it over 5 times.
Yeah. All right. Let's adjust the question. Over under 5 mentions that Grace Harris likes burgers by every other commentator apart from you.
I'll go over. I'll go over because people like a good mention about something a bit off-piece, don't they?
And the fact that she names her bats after burgers as well, like Zinger Tower. I'm telling you, this. I think this is as dead cert as you can possibly do. I think you're going to do well to not mention.
Yes,
burgers.
yeah.
That's my challenge to you. Whilst you're commentating out there, you're not allowed to mention the burger Grace Harris thing.
Yeah, okay.
That's it. I've stuffed you massively out of sight. All of your preparations on burgers and different types and what they mean to Grace Harris have been ruined by this.
The Whopper meal.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, at least we're in agreement on that one.
Yeah, we are. We're very much on agreement because commentators cannot. And look, we are commentators, and I'm sure that I might have mentioned it in the past, but now it's getting a bit sort of. Yeah, we know what else does she like? She likes burgers.
Yes.
Couple more then. Over under 0.5 defeats of India and Australia by any one of the other teams.
So you're basically saying, will India or Australia lose, not against each other, but against, will they lose one game against New Zealand, Pakistan, or Sri Lanka?
Yes.
That is the question, isn't it?
That is the question.
Oh, well, I think in World Cups there are upsets, and it makes it good if there's upsets. So I'm going to go along that narrative and say that, yes, one of them will slip up against...
You're going over 0.5.
I'm going to go over, yeah. What about you?
I'm actually going to go under. I don't think anyone's going to beat them. I think,
Either of
and
them.
you're the one that's being bold in this
I'm being
instance, and
bold.
I am just settling in here.
Yes.
I cannot see either Pakistan, New Zealand, or Sri Lanka. Even though Sri Lanka beat India in that Asia Cup final, I just can't see it in
Yeah.
the ICC World T20. So that's it. We've actually differed on pretty much all of these, apart from the
Have you
first one.
been keeping note of these, by the way, Daggers?
I have.
Oh, well done. Sorry, I
Now,
should have done that. Oh, right,
yes.
okay.
No, yeah.
Oh.
If you want to do something, that'd be great. Yeah, that'll be fine. But no, I will. Don't worry, I'll listen back to it and make little marks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You've gone under. Sorry, you've gone over 0.5 defeats. I've gone under. And finally, there will be more stumpings than catches by wicket keepers in Group A.
Good one again, Daggers. I'm going to go. There will be more stumpings than catches, and the reason for that is because the pitches. I'm going along the basis that they might not have as much pace in them as we go throughout the tournament. So therefore, spin will play a bit more of a part in the group stages and the semis and the finals, although this is just for Group A. So I'm anticipating there to be more batters coming out of their crease to try and hit down the ground,
Yeah.
being stumped more so than maybe a seam bowler bowling a quicker delivery that's going to beat the outside or get the nick on the outside edge. Although then you have to say, will there be catches for the keepers standing up from the spinners? But I'm going to go stumping.
You've almost argued your way out of what you were originally thinking there, didn't you?
I was
Because
arguing against myself.
things started popping into your head, left, right, and centre. I'm with you. I think there's going to be
Yeah.
more stumpings than there is catches,
Yeah.
and so that's where we are aligned on that one. So that's pretty much Group A in our over under type of way. We'll have lots more preview and stuff, but I think it should be. It's a really intriguing group, and I can't wait to watch the matches, and to see how. Sri Lanka are the one for me. I don't know if they've got
Yeah.
enough to upset. And please don't think we're doing Pakistan a disservice, but I just don't think they're at the level at this moment in time of the other sides within that group. And I worry about New Zealand. I really do. Unless one player, like a Divine, like a Kerr, like a Bates, has just the most mind-blowing, and which can happen in T20 cricket, absolutely. But they, I feel, are going to be the ones that have to do it. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I was going to say is Sophie Devine, this is her last T20 World Cup as captain. So you just wonder sometimes if that can be a real motivation for someone like Sophie Devine to be like, right, I'm going to really lead this team from the front and dominate. I read actually this morning that for Sophie Devine and Susie Bates, this is their 9th T20 World Cup.
Whoa!
They've played in every edition since 2009, which is pretty phenomenal. But yeah, I'm with you. I do worry about their middle order. And Sri Lanka, yeah, you just never know, do you? You never know what they might be able to do. But yeah, should be interesting, Daggers.
Well, we will move on because you have talked about it. Just a little bit of news that's come out today because time is escaping us and we're just, well, it was so easy to escape the time, isn't it? Because we're gassing about the women's game. This came out today from the ICC, and it was the headline. You want an incentive, Lydia? Here's some incentive, cash. Because the overall prize pot, basically the ICC, the headline is ICC enters era of equal prize money for men and women. The overall prize pot of almost $8 million US for the ICC Women's T20 World Cup 2024 sees a massive 225% increase from the 2023 edition. Winners to receive $2.34 million, runners up to get $1.17 million. And where else it says winners of the tournament will do that. 104. So the winners 2.34 million, 134% increase on the million awarded to Australia when they clinched the title a year ago. The two losing semi-finalists will earn $675,000 US. That's up from $210,000. So that's $400,000 more for being a losing semi-finalist. And this is in line with the ICC's strategy to prioritise the women's game and accelerate its growth by 2032. Money, Lydia Greenway, money. And look, I just quickly, and I'll let you go to town on this one, but just quickly, yeah, as it damn well should be. And there you go. So that's my two, Peneth. But we're talking some serious cash here, Lids, because how is it prize money divvied up from teams? Do they get all of it? Do the ECB get some of it? What's the point?
I think it's up to the teams how they want to split it. Whether they split it with just the players, whether they split it with players and staff. I wouldn't have thought any would go to the governing body. I don't see why that would be the case. Or as an example, I don't think there would be a place where the ECB would say, we're going to take some of your prize money. I can't see that being a situation. But yeah, from my time, when there was prize money, nowhere near the amounts that you've just reeled off there. But it was a conversation as a group about what you wanted to do with it. But in terms of the numbers, Daggers, it blows my mind. I think back to the 2009 World Cup was the first year. We won it that year. I'm trying to think if there was even any prize money on offer. I'd have to have a look. I can't remember there being anything. There might have been a bit, but I'll have to do a bit of research on that. But it just shows, doesn't it? And it's all to do with, like you say, the ICC. I think by 2030, between 2030 and 2032, I think they want to make the men's and the women's prize money across all major events equal. And that's why these two men's and women's T20 World Cups are so close together as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think they also, from a timeline point of view, they want them as much as possible to be occurring at the similar sort of time. But
look, if you wanted any more incentive, and people sort of say, oh, but people don't think about the money. It's okay to think about the money, by the way. You're allowed to. If that's your incentive, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Just that's the way you are, then carry on. That's a perfectly legitimate reason.
Yeah.
$31,000 each win during the group stages will see teams take home $31,000. And while the 6 teams who fail to reach the semi-final will share a pool of $1.35 million, depending on their finishing positions. Look, what I will say is, if you win, and I'm just done a very quick calculation, $2.34 million divided by 16, which is your squad, right? 15, 16, anyway, be that as it may. That's $146,000 per player, right? That's seriously good cash. Now, add that to other things that can come in, player of the match awards and winning bonuses and stuff like that. There is a part of me that feels that England, Australia and India will be in and around the semi-finals, and the rich may well get richer and the poor may not necessarily get as much funding or as much money for that. But I mean, this is for players. I shouldn't know, because I'm making a wrong comparison there, because this, if it goes to the players as opposed to goes to the governing body, so maybe that's an unfair comparison. Anyway, great news for the women's game.
Your point is, I think your point is still relevant. I think outside of the prize money, I think it's how the ICC choose to divvy up the money to the governing bodies directly, which I know is a big conversation with the men's game. It is a case that India get the biggest chunk, but then the argument is they bring in the most amount of money. But I think in the women's game, you want countries like Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka getting a good chunk of money invested.
Thailand, Zimbabwe, Ireland. All of those are on the cusps and stuff, and who we are now starting to see in things like the under-19 Women's World T20, where we had 16 teams, Scotland and Ireland and USA and Thailand and Rwanda and places like that, So I'm with you. We're going to have to blaze through this. Moving on, Pakistan are playing South Africa at the moment. They've finished their first T20 international, which South Africa won by 10 runs, 132 for 4, takes on 122 for 5. Alia Riaz for Pakistan, a half century. They were about 47 for 5 in that, so they've done well to recover. Alia Riaz with a half century. Tamsin Brits, 56 not out, and Saida Iqbal took 3 for 34 for Pakistan. And just finally, Lids, the Rachael Heyhoe Trophy. The Rachael Heyhoe-Flint Trophy semi-finals were played last weekend for the first time in the finals, and it will be the last as well before it goes to the Metro Bank next year. There is no Southern Vipers side for the first time. They were undone by the Southeast Stars and Alice Davidson Richards. Southeast Stars 220 for 9, 221 for 7. Chasing Southern Vipers 220 for 9, an 8th wicket stand of 90 between Alice Davidson Richards, who finished on 90 not out, and Clea Moore, who finished with a half century unbeaten. They won it for the Southeast Stars at Beckenham, your old neck of the woods.
Yeah.
And in the other one, the Northern Diamonds got absolutely hammered by the Sunrisers, who make it to their first final. Congratulations to them. 232 for 8. Northern Diamonds. The Sunrisers knocked them off for 3 with tons of time remaining. Grace Scrivens making 56. Jodie Grucock 63 not out. Cordelia Griffith making 68. Very nice after years of struggle for the Sunrisers that they will get to play in a final.
Yeah, it is. And I think when you look at the players that they've got in their lineup, we touched on it last week, actually. Someone like Grace Scrivens, who's been there, I think, pretty much since the start. Joey Gardner as well. Some older players, Alice McLeod, who has been around for a long, long time. Amara Carr as well, you can put into that bracket. And then Eva Gray, who made the move from Southeast Stars. Yeah. I'm pretty sure she made the move, didn't she, to the Sunrisers. And they have Abdahar Maqsood as well, who will be in action for Scotland.
Yes, she will.
As well. So, obviously good luck to them in the final. They've got a great opportunity there, haven't they, to get a bit of silverware before the new structure kicks in. So, yeah, as ever, Rachael Heyhoe-Flint Trophy has been a good one.
It certainly has, and we will try and get someone on from the winning side from the Rachael Heyhoe-Flint Trophy finals. That takes place this coming Saturday. I want to say around about the 21st September.
Yep, 21st.
That was quick mathematics from me. Saturday, the 21st of September, Rachael Heyhoe-Flint Trophy finals. It will be the final one. Right then, we're planning lots and lots. We're planning to speak to people from the England camp. We will continue with our previews for the World T20. We're going to get lots of pundits on. We're going to get lots of podcasts out there. So do stay tuned. Follow us on social media, at Charles Dagnall, at Lydia Greenway on X. And you can follow us on our YouTube channel as well. Do subscribe. We have noticed that there's been lots of comments, and this is poor from both of us, that there have been lots of comments that you want replying to or want us to consider. We will do that. We will have a mailbag edition as well. So keep your comments coming. Thank you so much for them, and thank you for subscribing. Do click on the subscribe button at Daggers and Lyds on YouTube. We have our own channel with all of the episodes there. So make sure you follow us and watch us if you so desire. But for now, Lyds, I think we're done again.
We are. Lovely stuff.